TIFU by asking my husband if he would get excited by my pregnancy announcement. TIFU by asking my husband a question. My husband, 35, and I, 27, have a great marriage. Barely 5 years of marriage, but we've been best friends for 10 plus years. When we first started dating, we agreed that babies might not be for us. So we got a bunch of fur babies. But after being in the marriage, I wanted his baby. We talked, I let my feelings known, and we agreed on one pregnancy, whether as twins or not. My family has a bunch of twins on both sides. Then we close both factories and call it a lifetime full of happiness. He loves me and all my demons and vice versa. Today we're deep cleaning our house for guests and found my cousin pregnancy reveal. Her husband was so happy he cried. So I went to my husband and asked him if he would get excited when I told him that I'm pregnant. Since we start trying after New Year's. He said, "Not really, you're the one who wants the baby." I was shocked, but I tried to keep my face straight. I asked BB, but we talked about it, we came to an agreement. We picked baby names and fought over which last name the baby will get first. He looked at me with a concerned face. He said, "I know you'll be excited, but not me, baby. I don't want a baby. I'd be lying if I tell you that my heart broke and my stomach dropped. I'm at a loss idk what to do anymore. For heaven's sake, we have baby books, clothes and names. I can't stop crying." He was trying to make me happy and I didn't see it. Now I'm thinking of not having babies to make him happy. What kills me the most is all the what if conversations. Hoping for my hair, cause his is difficult to handle, and the many dreams that I had about this. IDK. Know what to do. I love this man. I would never divorce him, but I'm truly heartbroken. TL doctor, I asked my husband if he would excited about our pregnancy and he said no. Let me tell you something that I think you should be prepared for. When you have a child, it is a lot of work. More work than anyone can really explain. It's more than just the haha, I don't sleep. It's so much more. I don't know your husband. Maybe he will be different. But when someone doesn't want kids, a lot of that can show in the raising of said kids. I'm not saying he won't do anything. I'm not saying he won't be there when you need help. But there is a big difference doing this with someone who is there because they have to help, and doing this with someone who wants to help. Being alone with someone standing right next to you is a thing. And it can definitely manifest in situations like this. Please do not have a baby with a man who told you directly that he does not want a baby. I think you really want to have more realistic conversations about this with your husband. You really want his baby. That's great and all because you think he's amazing or whatever, and bringing more of him and yourself into the world just feels right. Yeah, he would be willing to facilitate that, but not because he wants one for him, but because you want it. He wants you to be happy that way because he loves you, but I think you have your real answer for how he feels about your possible pregnancy. Having one kid is goddamn difficult with a partner that wants to have a baby too. Mix in the idea that twins run strong in you family, and that means you could instantly double the amount of people that need to be taken care of. Babies are not a light subject. He said fur babies were good and you agreed. He's 35 and you are 27. I had my first kid at 28 and it was not easy in the slightest in the early 20s. The amount of energy and resilience you have far greater than now. Kids don't slow down and their need just become more and more complex the older they get, and don't start me on cost. Nothing you have done will prepare you for them. For the woman you body goes through changes and some things will never be the same. If you are both not 100% on board with the idea of having kids, then you shouldn't have kids unless you are okay raising them completely on your own. I would never suggest anyone have kids unless the two people responsible for them will be 100% on board. Look, He only agreed to have a baby because you really want one. Not because he does. He's willing to sacrifice his wants for you. I, personally, don't think this is right because there is a good chance that he will remain indifferent or outwardly unwilling to parent a child, which will only negatively affect your marriage and his relationship with the child. I think you are projecting your desires and excitement on him. He's told you he doesn't want a child. You just weren't listening. Sounds like something you both need to have an honest and open conversation about. Does your future have children and his doesn't? If so, you may be incompatible. https u2.be/lidboi5gn4. In this moth story slam, a woman shares about a love she let go of because he wanted kids and she didn't. Their situation was a bit different. She was the one who was older and already had an older daughter. But she was comfortable in her life and knew she would never want kids again. They had a beautiful relationship, but she let him go. I'm not saying that you should leave your husband because he doesn't want kids. But I do think what other commenters are saying about the parenting of people who don't really want kids, the resentment that could come from him if you do have kids or you if you don't. You're both giving up a huge part of yourselves one way or the other. If you don't have kids, will you truly be happy? If you do have kids, will he? It's a hard situation, but it's a big one. Explore the "won't get divorced even if heartbroken" bit. It may hurt, but it will save more hurt later. Use birth control until then. Do not under any circumstances have a baby with him unless you expect to be raising it on your own. This is not a TIFU. This is a "today I found out valuable information that I need to know to make informed decisions about my life." You have basically 3 choices. Get pregnant with someone who doesn't want to be a father. Accept the consequences. Don't have a kid. Or leave him and have a kid with someone else. Only you can say which option is the least bad. They all have major downsides. To me, the first option isn't even an option. So it's between not having a kid and ending the relationship. Hell of a decision. Which do you want more? Current husband or potential child? Unless there's more to the story, I don't think the husband is at all in the wrong here. He was open from the jump about not wanting kids, and he married someone who said she didn't want kids. Despite his lack of interest in being a father, he didn't give you any ultimatums. He just let you know his honest feelings, which you need to know before you make any decision. Sorry, Op. You're in a real tough spot. But at least now you're in a tough spot with your eyes open. Anyone else do the math on their ages? I'm confused a lot by this post. And there are also a lot of red flags here. So you're 5 years married and the 10 years of best friendship before? So you were best friends when you were 12 and he was 20? That's a huge red flag. He also, based on the information you gave before, seems to have taken child discussion as an appeasement to you, rather than a life plan of his. Your goals don't seem to be the same from the outset. Red flag 2. And a bit of advice. You can love someone and not be with them forever. If you want kids and he doesn't, that's a pretty big difference in something that impacts the rest of your life. Talk to a professional. Or try going to marriage counseling. Because the last thing you want is to end up resenting him because you want kids or him resenting you because he didn't want one. Best friends 10 plus years? And you're 27? And he's 35? Sieg. Don't have kids with someone who doesn't want them. It's the most selfish thing you can do. He's telling you now he doesn't want a kid. What life is that going to be for a child? Its father will never want him. It's also super unnerving that you said you want his baby, not a baby, or even our baby. I feel like you aren't in a partnership here. You have an unhealthy worship of this guy, and I bet there are lots of elements of your relationship that we don't know from the post which support that. Do not have a kid with him. Step back and ask yourself if you should even be in this relationship. I and my partner agreed on day one that we would not have any kid. Not health reason, just that we both don't want to have any. If I or her change her mind, it's not something that is talkable. We already had this conversation, and I totally expect her to leave if I change my mind. You changed your mind, and he probably did not want to hurt you or himself. Why did you ask if he would be excited if you already had assumed he would be? Wouldn't that have been the answer? The real FU here was guilting your husband into having children when he was clear from the beginning he didn't want them. He will never be excited about them if you do fall pregnant. And you can't force him to be. It's not too late. But making this right involves you splitting up. You've changed your mind about wanting kids and he hasn't. You are no longer compatible. Yikes. This is a massive wrench in your relationship. On one hand, you'll resent him for refusing you a child. On the other hand, he'll resent you for insisting he has one. Either way, prepare for the relationship to take a huge hit. A baby is the one thing you can't compromise on. It's not fair to either partner, and it's especially not fair to the baby. I'd suggest having a serious conversation about it, and if you still can't truly agree, not one appeasing the other, as this is what has appeared to happen, then you might need to make a serious decision regarding your relationship. You were best friends at 17. And 25. There is nothing normal about a man in his mid-20s wanting to be friends with someone in high school. Everything else after that opener is practically irrelevant, because it's going to be an explanation of the typical situations that occur when someone with significantly more life experience grooms someone younger to be their life partner without allowing that individual to have their own adult experiences and perspectives. I'm sorry you are in this situation. You are still young and have your whole adult life ahead of you. Wishing you all the best. It sounds like you walked in together with the same mindset. He maintained course while yours changed. Nothing wrong with that. And if you know how he is and he is being honest, then he would be fine having a baby because it's what you want, and it seems he wants to give you what you want. He may not be excited about that, but he would probably be happier knowing how happy it would make you. Fur babies are way better than human babies in my opinion. I feel like I know your husband, as I'm a sworn kidless person myself and would be devastated if I got someone pregnant. I knew this one girl who was desperate to have a kid. She was willing to have sex with me until she got a positive result. She promised I would never have to meet the kid or give money. I hexed my way out of that. Funny enough, she grew out of that baby phase after 2 years. Other guys said no to her too, and instead got so close to her dog. She made such a deep connection with her that she really became a soulmate daughter. I had a pregnancy scare with another girl, and honestly, I was selfishly planning my suicide over it. On the day the thing is born, I was graced that her period came late, and that she said she would have had an abortion. She never knew what my mindset was. After a year, she wanted to be on the path for marriage and kids. I couldn't convince her to be kidless, so I left. I was very upfront with that stance afterwards. I would be a terrible father. My previous best friend has a kid now, and I see what that path is. I don't know how he stays sane. I know some retired kidless marriages, and they are the coolest people I know. He obviously loves you enough to stick around with a possible pregnancy. I did date this one girl who was special enough that I could make it work if her family would support it with a nanny or something. On a positive note, if you had a divorce, you would not have any contest on custody.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.